Hey folks, got a little bit of a different review for you here today. I have the ASICS Gel Nimbus 26. We're going to be doing a 200-mile review. I know this is a little bit older of a shoe, so this is more of a passion review than anything, but we'll get into it there in a moment. Before we get started though, welcome to the AmeLiaRun channel. My name's AmeLia. And today, as I mentioned, we'll be doing the review of the ASICS Gel Nimbus 26. This is a shoe I purchased for myself in my size 8.5M. And like all my reviews, I will be going over nerdy details for this shoe, discussing fit, talking about how durable this shoe's been for me, going into ride, versatility, and value of this shoe. It's made with the hopes of creating an accessible resource to assist runners of all levels of experience in their search for the right fit. I know this is a little bit older of a shoe, but just in case you find it on the secondary market, or as we'll talk in a little bit, the Gel Nimbus 27 is still available a lot of places. Very similar DNA to this. My reviews are timestamped for easier reference, regardless of where and when buyers are shopping. So, I want to dive right into the meat and potatoes for this shoe. This was made in early 2024. This is a 10.7 ounce shoe. It is a chonky boy, but it is prioritizing max cushion. It's meant for daily, comfortable miles, and it's made mostly here thanks to its very large 42 millimeter, 34 millimeter stack here. 42-38 for that 8 millimeter drop. I misspoke, I'm sorry, 42-34, that's my bad. I will say that the foam, Flight Foam Blast Plus, you might hear that and be like, what does that even mean? Well, let me tell you. It is a type of supercritical foam. Supercritical just being like how it's compressed. This one in particular is meant for more of like ASICS softer rides, more cushioned, kind of prioritizing plush daily miles. And then sometimes people will see the gel part, like pure gel down there, or you've heard plenty of their shoes be referred to as gel. What they mean is that there is a gel in the heel cup right there to kind of help with like shock absorption. They tend to have really high shock absorptions because that has a really nice kind of like, so it's a knit upper, but then it's an interesting bit of knitting on the interior of the shoe that makes for a very, very comfortable combo. It also has a rocker geometry, and it has this ASICS grip, they call it. It's kind of like their take on, say, like Puma grip. It's just a kind of a little bit more of a tackier, a little bit better multi-weather outsole, a little bit better grip. It is typically $160. Seeing as you get it on the aftermarket right now, you're probably going to be spending $160 on that. It was originally available in wide and extra wide widths. You might have trouble finding that now. Elephant in the room, I kind of alluded to a bit ago. A lot of what you find in the 26, you'll be able to find in the 27. From everything I've been looking at, it's a very close in DNA shoe. So, if you manage to come across a pair of 27s, give them a shot. If what I'm talking about here today with the 26s interests you. Going into that though, I will say that this shoe for 200 miles, my goodness, folks, it has been a great fit. This upper from the jump has been very comfy. And it's been very durable. At 200 miles, I recently cleaned them, so they don't have as much dirt on them. I wear this casually as well. A lot more of the wear is actually just coming from the upper, that knit upper. From when I ran it back in the winter, you get a little more discoloration. Just completely depends on the colorway. I have this Paris colorway from the Olympics back in 2024, so I think that's why it looks this way, but definitely no real concerns on the outsole here. I got a little teensy bit of fading there in the corner from where I typically, on that lateral side where I typically supinate. Aside from that, nothing too noteworthy as far as wear. Getting into the ride of the shoe, I believe this is a shoe that gets better with time. You've heard like the old thing, like, oh, you know, you hear one way or the other folks talking about like good pair of shoes shouldn't have to be broken in, or somebody will be like, oh, these are great once you break them in. It typically, especially the newer foams, it's a little more uncommon to see something that needs broken in. But with the gel Nimbus, I was close to quitting them after my first like 50 or so miles, but then they started feeling more comfortable from 50 to 100 miles. And then from 100 miles onward, they were wonderful. So I almost wonder if that's kind of part of it breaking in. I will say too, as a heavier runner, the shoe definitely was absorbing and lifting me about a little bit differently than say some other shoes would. Had a lot more, how should I say, maybe a bit more inertia, which I appreciated. Would I wear it every day? Probably not. But as a daily trainer or an easy day shoe, I loved it. I love wearing the Gel Nimbus series to work. They're my daily shoe I wear to work without fail. No real complaints in how it is as an athleisure shoe. Just in general, it's always a solid find. Even after you retire the shoe, I have a pair of 25s that I retired from running after about 250 miles. They're great as everyday shoes. I will also say here, thinking about versatility, it's easy day for sure, but for some folks, if your idea of daily miles is easier paces, you could probably use it as a daily trainer. Like I said too, that ASICS grip is really nice. If you're somewhere where climate's a little volatile, all over the place, it's nice to have something that will be able to kind of rock and roll a little bit on the not necessarily icy, not heavy snow, but a little bit of snow, or just in general like wet conditions. That knit upper is going to get filthy, but you know, it's part of wearing shoes, right? Not the most versatile shoe when it comes to summertime running though. They'd run very hot. That's always been kind of an Achilles heel for the Gel Nimbus series. I'll say as far as value, at $160, it might seem hard to justify the Gel Nimbus family at that price, but I do think if you prioritize comfort and kind of easier going for your like daily miles, or you want something that you could also wear to work as an athleisure shoe, I could absolutely see that price being justified. Definitely keep an eye out on the Gel Nimbus 27 with the 28s out right now. I know the 27s I've seen on sale from like 120, 130-ish. I also know those have different kinds of sizings, like wide and extra wide as well. So, final thoughts. This was going to be a quick review. I love this shoe. 200 miles. Hard to really get to 200 miles in a pair of shoes since I started the channel here. I had already had a good amount of miles on these shoes when I started to do the channel, but I kept gravitating back towards these when I needed them, be it for work or just some easier runs. I definitely think they're great companions. If you manage to find a pair on sale, maybe from an outlet store, or if you go to somewhere like Burlington, Ross's, you name it, Marshall's, if you manage to snag a pair of these, they're a steal. So definitely consider them. With that said, I will just kind of call it here nice and early for this review. Hope you're all keeping safe, healthy. I usually say it in a different order. I'm keeping that in. Let me know if you have any questions about this shoe. And I look forward to talking to you all here in the next review.